Recorded live at the Depends for Men Undergarment Studios in Orange County, California. It's the Indispensable Thursday Show with Sable and Dave. Mediocrity never goes out of style.
Dave, you should have got us a new intro for this week. It's not just with Sable and Dave. Today we have Gordon Miller.
Thanks
hey,
for
Gordon.
having me, guys.
Yeah, Gordon runs a fine website called Cinema Centuries, right?
Yep.
.com.
Yes.
Right?
That's like
not .net or .tv.
Hundreds of years that you've been running this site. Cinema Centuries.
No.
Centuries.
Centuries like a guard, standing guard.
Standing guard over
Against
your
bad
movies.
entertainment.
So you fight piracy.
Yeah, right, against bad entertainment.
No. As evidenced by the homework I had to watch.
Oh.
Changeling on YouTube.
Which
I felt slightly guilty about, but I'm like, well, I got to do it.
I think that's legit now. I think they put, there's a ton of old movies on
It's a
there.
Canadian
I don't
thing.
think I don't think that kid who put that up there had access to post that freely.
I didn't look for that.
It wasn't through like a studio or anything.
Yeah, we're talking about the movie we watched. We streamed it on YouTube, and maybe it wasn't there fully. It wasn't on the up and up, you think? Maybe.
It seemed like a pretty high quality
It
copy.
was.
It looked great.
But
And there was quite
usually-
a few of them that were listed
Usually
on
when
there.
you post stuff like that, though, it immediately says, hey, you can't post this. So I don't know how
Right.
he got away with that.
Well, it seemed like, wasn't there a while that YouTube just had sort of like a limit, like 10 minutes or something like that? Because I remember I used to like have to find stuff and then you see like 8 parts
Sure,
to
but
watch a movie.
It's still there, but you have to verify your account.
But as soon
give
as you
them a
become
phone number.
verified, then you can upload, like we've uploaded 2-hour-long videos.
Nice.
Yeah.
No problem. So tell me about cinemacentries.com. I did my homework, and I picked up pastrami sandwiches instead of researching the website, which I'll do tomorrow, of course, when the listeners are listening.
All right. Well, we started covering movies and then expanded to music and like pop culture events. Like I'm going to be going to Kamikaze this week
Nice.
up in LA.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a small. Well, it's getting bigger each year, but now it's Stan Lee's Kamikaze, and it's a big pop culture convention that goes like 3 days up at the LA Convention Center.
But people will
Okay.
still be dressed up as Jedis.
If he's still alive, or does it go? If Stanley dies, like from now to is it still going? Or
I would assume so.
because he could die any minute because he's very frail and old. It looks like to me.
Yes.
Do you think Stan Lee has been in more movies as a cameo actor than any other actor yet? Is it possible that he's reached some sort of world
Is
record?
he more than Alfred Hitchcock? Is he the most cameos?
He's getting close. I think it's like just Michael Caine and Samuel L. Jackson are ahead of him.
What about Warren Oates? He's playing the most movies that came out after he died. I think. Right. Yeah, Blue Thunder and Stripes, and there's like another one that came out. He was like, "This guy's been dead for like a year, and these movies keep coming out."
It's like all those Bob Marley albums that came out after he died.
That doesn't
You
happen
don't have
anymore
to
now
pay
because of
royalties.
the digital. They shoot and edit so quick. It's like Paul Walker was. I think his body was still warm, and then it was out. But Warren Oates had been dead for a while before those ones came out.
Didn't they digitize Paul Walker so they could finish the film? Like there was an insurance clause that said, if you die, we get to take all of your proceeds and use them in computer animation.
Yeah, I think they use. I don't know if you remember when they did that with The Crow, where they sort of used Brandon's face a couple times. They did that. They used Paul's brothers in a couple scenes, and you could tell the scenes they're kind of fudging it.
We're talking about Fast and Furious
7.
7.
Have you seen those? All of them?
Yes,
I'm very proud to say I've never seen any of them. Actually,
you should give them
Or
a shot.
Should I? Are they actually
yes.
okay?
Yes, It's
Okay.
funny. I hadn't started until the 6th was about to come out, and they had already announced the 7th. I'm like, well, there must be something to these, so I should give it a shot.
Yeah.
So I watched the first one, and it was just a sort of simple, straightforward car racing movie, and I liked it. And then
So I think Fast and Furious 1 was just a fun action film. And you're like, I'm totally into this. There's chicks, there's cars, there's racing. Like, it's awesome.
yeah.
Is there any subtext? Is there like what's it really about? You know what I like to get into those, but is there one?
it's
in that?
really
or is it just
about-
about what it's
I
about?
think it's just about cars.
No, it's really about family.
Well, sure.
The Fast and
But that
Furious
took a little
movies
while.
are, yeah, they wrote it in. So then you watch them all in order.
Mm-hmm.
And which ones did you like, or what did you like about them?
Well, it's funny. So the second one's without Vin, and you can tell that they were just trying to redo the same thing over again. And then the
Right.
third one,
That was Tokyo, the third one, right?
yeah, where it almost has no connection at all until the very last scene, and just felt like the producers like found a racing script, and you're like, we could make this Fast and Furious since we own the name.
Mm-hmm.
And then they found a way.
It sounds very Run Shaw, the settings with Bruce Lee. It's like, well, the character's name is Bruce already in the script, even though he's a dentist and he's a transsexual and doesn't know martial arts. But we could kind of turn this into a Bruce Lee movie. Something like that?
Yeah, and then the fourth movie, Vin came back as a producer, and then they went back in time. So then...
Not in the movie, it was like a prequel?
Yes.
They didn't get a DeLorean or something, though? Okay.
They weren't racing those from the police. Okay. But no, yeah, so then the story, I think went 5, 6, and then 3, and then 7.
It's like Star Wars now. It's all mixed up.
It's all mixed up.
Do people have
did you watch Fast and Furious number 4?
Yes.
Do you remember the name of that?
I believe it was Fast and Furious.
I thought there was a, like number 3 was
Fast and
Tokyo
Furious
1.
the first one, then it's Too Fast, Too Furious, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Tokyo Drift.
And then I think it's Fast and Furious, and then it's Fast 5.
Yeah, Fast 5.
And then I don't know what they called this. The 6th one was the first one I saw in the theater with a opening weekend, and people were digging it.
Huh.
And they just seemed to get, I think around 5 they decided we've kind of run out of ideas for the racing, and then they made it sort of an Ocean 11 heist kind of thing.
Okay.
And then they brought in The Rock as a nemesis, and that played well. And then 7 seemed to kind of stretch a little thin. We'll see where 8 goes.
All right. I liked 4. I liked 1. I thought 1 was a fun movie. I wouldn't have watched another one. And there was 2 and 3, and I was like, oh, it's on Netflix. I guess I'll watch it. I pay for Netflix, and I kind of like...
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I pay for Netflix.
You're not using someone else's code?
No. Maybe HBO Go, but never Netflix.
Good. You're keeping it real.
No. HBO Go is only
Keeping
$15.
it REEL. Just kidding.
Keeping it real.
I have Cinema Sentries pulled up right now. I'm looking at it. I like the logo with the little it's got the logo's cool. It's got an old style movie camera with a what kind of magazine is that on top? Is that a Tandem magazine?
I could not tell you.
Oh, come on. You were at Cal State Long Beach with me. You don't remember that? It looks like it's probably an Aeroflex. It's like a Tandem magazine. There's like a Trojan guy behind the camera. So it's a cool little logo. I like that.
So, Dave, if the listeners want to pipe in on their favorite Fast and Furious movie...
Are you going to ask me the phone number?
They could send us an email to dave@theindispensable.com or call us at...
You jerk.
The phone number.
657-206-0777.
What was that number again, Jesse?
657-206-0777.
Thanks.
I remember the 206 part.
So,
Did
Gordon,
they pay him royalties for that? We're using his voice.
this week the Apple TV was available. The next generation became available for sale. Which model did you get?
I did not get a one.
You did not get one.
That was not part of my homework. I had no idea we were
Oh, okay.
doing.
How about you, Dave? Which one did you order?
Sometimes here, I didn't get it. I have a bad taste in my mouth because when I had the original Apple TV and it was like crash.
The
City.
silver one they had to copy. Oh, that
one
was
of those kind of looks like a Mac Mini.
Dave. That was a mistake.
It was bad. Well, someone gave it to me because it wasn't working for them, so I tried it. And
Right.
like, nope.
That was a mistake, Dave.
So, but then I got Roku. I've been sticking with Roku, so I don't have the Apple TV.
Okay, now I do like. There's a feature on the Roku where you can plug in your USB drive and
I
watch
use
all your
that
stuff.
feature a lot. Yeah.
And that's cool, but my TV does that, so I don't need my TV. to
Because
do
Apple
that.
TV doesn't let you do that.
Apple TV lets me play all my iTunes content.
Right. They don't let you plug anything in the side.
When you
They're
walk
very
into my
shocking.
house, you open up your phone, if I connect you to the Wi-Fi, and you can play your music on my stereo.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I showed my uncle this, he's got all kinds of 60s and 70s rock and roll that he loves to play. And I said, hey, I want you to DJ while we're hanging out here at the house. It was a bunch of my family was over. And he looked at his phone, and he looked at the stereo, and he said, you mean when I choose a song, it plays in the whole house? I said, yes. He was sold. And then,
so he's going to buy one.
and then
That's
the
what
other
you're
thing
saying.
about the Apple TV is every time I go out and take pictures, they show up on the TV, just whenever it's playing.
That's
whatever.
kind of fun too, because sometimes we'll be hanging out here all day. And he'll take pictures and like slides from the day today are showing up on the.
Spooky.
It's weird.
It is fantastic. So the new Apple TV, the
They're also unfiltered though. Like could be like there's like down blouse shots, like my ass crack. Sorry, yeah, I had to bend over to say down blouse.
so I like the Apple TV. I actually like it just the way that it is, but mine is the 720 version. I bought it 4 years ago, and I have a 1080 TV. So once in a while, I think, I could get a little better quality if I use the Amazon app to watch something, or if I use the Netflix app on the TV. It's pretty good, but the new one's coming out. It's supposed to have App Store and video games. So I bought the smaller, the 32 gig. It should be here in next week, I think.
Cool.
All right.
So we'll know. I have small children, 8, 6, and 4. So we buy a lot of movies on iTunes. That's how we're watching The Walking Dead. I'd spend big money on this.
You're not showing
Kids
it to
like
them,
that?
are they?
And my wife is a big Walking Dead fan. She freaks out for this movie. And it's kind of gross, right? It's kind of like horror and death and surprise and all the things about movies that I don't love. I have a hard time watching The Walking Dead with her. But she loves it so much that I got to spend my $40 once a year to buy it. But I also bought Star Wars Rebels. So I get to watch it on the Apple TV whenever we have time. We just press play. We got it. I own
That's
it.
a part of the extended universe, or is it part of the new Disney canon that's approved for everybody, not just freaks?
Star Wars Rebels is a really great series. So did you ever watch the Clone Wars?
No, I saw one or two.
Gordon, did you ever watch the Clone Wars or follow that Star Wars? Okay.
Good man.
So how about the 1, 2, and 3 movies?
Yes, I saw those.
All right. The Clone Wars, the whole 6 seasons of the Clone Wars happens between episodes 2 and 3 of the movies.
All right.
So before Anakin goes and does
Kills
his
the
big
village.
conversion, yeah. So then between movies 3 and 4, before the New Hope, the Rebel Alliance has to form from somewhere. They're unhappy about something, and Star Wars Rebels is the beginning of that alliance.
Gotcha.
We're in the second season now, showing the development of the Rebel Alliance going into the 4th movie. Now, for the listeners that really want to learn a little bit more about Star Wars and what a freak Dave is on his Star Wars knowledge, go back to last episode 43 for the Interstellar.
No, it's the Titanic.
Interstellar
something.
Titanic Bantha-sized Star Wars Spectravaganza.
Extravaganza, yeah. Although, he read me some questions and I got a lot of hard ones right, but then we played afterwards and he actually beat me.
Oh, this
Star Wars trivia
This
game.
was fantastic. So, Gordon, now the listeners know this. You might not know this unless you listened. No, that was a blank look of
His
Dave.
His website guards against bad entertainment.
Okay.
Like, why would he be listening to our show?
Got
He
it.
should be.
I was given a
stopping-
limited amount of homework. I
stopping
would have
other
prepped if I'd
people.
known.
We don't know what we're talking about before. The thing you did do your homework.
I mean, he's got notes over here.
I
You just did those when you were on your way over here.
He was outside with the dog.
Yeah,
I
while
have-
he was warming up my pastrami, he was writing those notes.
I have notes. They
that's
don't
not a
they don't mean
euphemism, right?
anything. That was not a euphemism. Dave and I are business partners. We write funny stuff together. How dare you, sir?
Just asking.
I have a Star Wars Trivial Pursuit game that I put away and I have not played in years because I never won a game. Against my friends Rob and Craig, I barely got a turn before they would win the game. It was uncanny. I bought other games to play that were Star Wars based because I could never play Trivial Pursuit. So after having it on the shelf for 15 years, I pulled it out against Dave. He said, we should play. We should play. He got 6 pies and he was heading towards the middle and I was at 2 pies and I was like, this is just like when I used to play, man.
Flashbacks.
This sucks.
Yeah.
And then
And
somehow
I never landed in the center, and you got all.
you didn't land on the center. I got 4 pies in a row on over 2 turns and went in and nailed it. Boom! Won my first game.
Do you remember the question?
No.
I don't either. It's a great pod.
It seemed like it was so monumental. I figured you would
love
remember
hearing
that
our
question.
People love hearing our recap of our Trivial Pursuit game.
I figured,
I brought it up too. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I figured now that I won, I should sell it on eBay. It's a classic.
I'm sure.
You finally won.
So
Sell
if you did want to buy a movie or a video game or a board game, you should buy it at Amazon, Gordon. And dear
Yeah.
listeners, if you are going to go out and buy something like I just bought this week, Dave. Sorry,
you
Gordon.
click through our store first.
I went to the indispensable.com/Amazon to go to our Amazon store, and I bought the Aster bidet.
Oh, you did? I want to try it out.
It's not ready today. I have to
Okay.
I have to convince somebody else to install it for me.
If it's not ready bidet, will it be ready by tomorrow?
It'll be ready tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, that's right. There's a drum over there if you want to play it. Sticks and everything. So you go to theindispensable.com/Amazon and you search for Star Wars, Trivia Pursuit, buy whatever you want, and we will get a couple of pennies when you shop, and that'll help us get a new microphone for Gordon. Because he's currently using a lonely MXL USB mic.
It looks pretty bitchin', though.
It is a great microphone, but it's not the same as my Apogee interface that is currently broken.
I can tell he's a good podcaster. He's like not part of the dark side because it's got a blue light inside. So if it had a red light, he'd be like a Sith podcaster, right?
No.
So, Gordon, you mentioned homework a couple of times. So what was the homework that you did? What homework did Dave give you?
I watched The Changeling starring George C. Scott.
Man, what a great movie. Dave, did you want to hear the trailer of that? You had me cue it up.
Yeah, I wanted to say I haven't watched it in years. I remember it as a kid. I remember as we were watching it, the scenes came up, and I go, "Oh, that was in the trailer." Let's see how right I was when I.
All right, so I'm going to play the trailer. Can you see that enough?
How long is it?
Yeah.
Is it like
I'm just reading? I need glasses for it.
All right, I'm going to play it on YouTube on the station. Two residents.
John Russell, composer.
Now, the music in this movie was fantastic.
Oh, yeah?
I got to say, it was great. The music score, I mean, I want to listen to the movie, although the movie scared the crap out of me. I kind of want to find out more about the music.
Sir, the other has been dead for over 70 years.
Claire, I'd like to talk to you about the house.
Claire, I'd like to talk to you about the house. It just tried to kill me.
That scene where all the doors were slamming, he almost jumped into my lap in that scene. He was like, he was all tingly, he said.
Now, in the trailer, if you guys out there in the audience haven't seen this movie, go to YouTube and look for The Changeling original trailer, and he looks like a maniacal killer. There's no killing in this movie. It is much scarier than killing, but he looks like a killer here.
There's one.
Was one killing, sort of.
Okay, but it didn't happen during the movie.
We won't give away too much.
Did you die in this house? How did you die?
Whatever it is trying.
Oh, that ball bouncing down the stairs, man, that was the worst.
What is it doing? Why is it trying to reach me?
It's a hand.
It's a hand. Well, the trailer kind of gives away a lot of the plot.
Hold on, Senator. I'm John Russell. I'm living in your house.
There's a senator. There's politics. There's mystery. There's a haunted house.
He wants it back.
There's a beloved composer. And it's in the Pacific Northwest. What more could you want from a Canadian film?
John?
What is it you want? What do you want from me?
Many films will frighten you,
I don't remember that part with
but
the lamp.
few can really terrify
Oh, yeah.
you.
That blinks.
Because the lamp almost fell on him.
An experience beyond total fear.
I'll agree, man. That movie was beyond total fear.
He was really scared. I'm going to put a wig on him. So
That movie was beyond holy crap.
Yeah. I'm going to watch all horror movies with you.
I just think about that movie and I'm like, oh, God, I need a jacket or something.
How about you, Gordon? Did you see it when you were a kid first? Because it's an older movie. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is the first time you've seen it.
I just seen it. I didn't understand what the ghost was up to.
No? What?
No, because I didn't see... Because it seemed like he wanted revenge, but it seems like he waited way too long to get it. Like, you think he should have got it on his dad, not after...
Were you on Twitter the whole time?
No.
Okay. Do you want an answer to that question?
Sure.
So the ghost was trying to reach out to somebody for the unjust death.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that George Scott's character experienced a very unjust death of his children, of his child and wife. And the ghost could relate to him And he, being a sensitive artist, could also relate that it might be that the ghost had something else to say. That's why he didn't, like a sane person, run away at first shy. He wanted to find out, why is this ghost trying to talk to me? What's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Because the ghost was looking for peace. Which, spoiler to the 1980 movie, the ghost got his peace.
Yeah, we don't know what happened in the house before that. I wasn't sure who was living there right before. I mean, it was vacant for 15 years. But a lot of times, like you hear like hauntings, like nothing happens for a long time, 20, 30 years might go by, and then weird stuff starts happening. Maybe because a sensitive person is living there now. Maybe he's the sensitive guy. But no, people did say that it was haunted before he went, like things were going on.
Did you see the link I sent you earlier?
No, I didn't.
No.
Oh, what, the carbon monoxide thing?
Yes, a carbon monoxide sensitive person will experience a house as if it was haunted.
Right. But,
there's scientific study now showing that if you're getting carbon monoxide poisoning, you will report things that are like
feeling being watched. Things like that.
Well, if you have a wood burning stove, you might get carbon monoxide poisoning, and then you can hear things, you can hallucinate. It's really fascinating. Maybe you should read the article, and next week
that certainly would make sense for people that like just one person experiencing a thing or two. But those ones that I think are weird are when we're definitely going to get to more changeling. I want to hear more of your opinion on that. So, but when you've got stories where, so you've got workers working in a house or something, and they keep quitting. You're like, dude, there's like some little girl. She keeps running down the hall and like looking at me. Like, why would they all see the same thing if they don't know each other? That's a little strange. And that there seems to be a lot of that kind of story with haunted houses. Different people seeing the same thing.
And did you hire all of those workers from the same Home Depot? Did they all come from the same country with the same belief system?
La Llorona. You know that La Llorona is?
Is that the wailing lady?
Crying lady, yeah.
Yeah. That's the crying lady. She, in a fit of rage, she drowned her 3 children in the river. And of course, they don't prosecute her because they're her children. She can do whatever she wants. Then every year she goes to the river. Yeah. Then every year she goes to the river to cry because nice.
That was awesome. That's a Templeton ride.
That was the good stuff. Then every year she goes to the river to cry.
The good stuff right on the label.
Uncle Al liked it. Every year she went to the river to cry over her dead children.
Yeah.
And the legend says if you go to the river now, you can still hear her crying, even though she's long dead.
Yeah. It's scary.
It's scary.
You're seeing a ghost or anything? Like, have any sort of paranormal experience that you can't explain?
Man, that was quick on the changeling. We're right off of that.
No.
No, we're going back to the changeling. No, you haven't at all? Nothing? How about you?
What would you
I'm pointing.
do?
There's only 3 of us here. I'm pointing at
what
Sable.
Would you do?
After I ask Gordon, and then I point to Sable as if, because Gordon's going to be confused. If I say, how
You're
about
such a big
you?
Yeah. But Dave, what would you do if you were in a house and you heard some footsteps?
If I'm by myself, I'd get the hell out of there. I'd be scared. Yeah. But my friend Armand does not. He hears footsteps in his house a lot, and other people there have heard them too. And sometimes 2 people will be talking, and they'll hear footsteps right there, like no one's in the house. Very strange. That doesn't mean it's a ghost, though. We don't know what that is. Very weird. I heard a weird noise in there too. But
I was listening to a podcast called Roderick on the Line, and John Roderick, who's a musician and comedian, was telling a story about how he had a possum in his house, and he thinks the possum was in the wall behind the fireplace. So he's in bed one night and he hears the rustling and he thinks, man, this is the possum. And he's like, I'm just going to go to bed. Forget it. I'm not going to get up with the big flashlight and chase the possum out anymore. And he wakes up in the morning and he realized he was robbed.
Oh my gosh.
The night.
Well, burgled.
He was burgled. Okay. Yeah, correctly. Whoa. All right. So the changeling.
Yeah, the changeling. So yeah, continue on. So obviously you're seeing it as, an older person now. I saw it as a kid. I was happy that he enjoyed it though, but let's hear more on you.
Wait. Just because his beard is gray does not mean he's an older person.
I'm the same age as him. I'm older.
Yeah.
He knows.
You can't hide from me. So overall, did you enjoy it or no?
There were things I liked about it, but overall, no, I did not enjoy it. Because I just didn't make any sense to me. Like, and whenever there was downtime, I just didn't understand the rules of the world. It's like when I was watching Jurassic World. Like, I'd get caught up in scenes, and then all the slow parts I think, well, wait a minute, why did anybody think having another park would work when it didn't work last time? So I just didn't understand the logic of this world. Like I thought it was interesting that I guess we're supposed to assume the ghost reached out to him in New York because he had the thing with the ball and sort of helped call him out.
That's funny that you thought that, because the thing with the ball was his kid's toy. Mm-hmm. So when I saw the ball, I thought it was the ghost saying, "Hey, I'm just a kid and I want to play."
Well, the ball you're talking about in New York before he left, the ball didn't do anything though, did it? But
No,
it wasn't there
like,
in a weird spot.
It like fell towards him, like it bounced, like
Yeah.
the maid or whoever's helping him move or something like that had
Yes.
the ball dropped and went to him, and then he heard a little
Right.
something.
See,
And then when he's back in, is it Seattle? I wasn't
It
sure
was
where.
Seattle.
Seattle.
It was
Then when he's in Seattle, then he has another incident with a ball. I'm like, oh, okay, so we're supposed to equate.
Right.
I'm glad you
Like,
said
do
that because
ghosts only talk through balls, or is it the same ghost?
Well, I caught that as, hey, here's a sentimental item from his dead child that he kept, which
Hey,
the
let's just
the
set
maid.
the movie up a little bit for people. There are probably a lot of people who haven't seen it, so it's
What?
guys.
Oh wait, hold on, all listeners, pause the podcast, go to YouTube, look for The Changeling in HD,
You could do that.
watch it, and then come back and press play. We're gonna wait for you
Actually,
right
we'll
here.
just wait. No, we're not going to wait.
Okay.
What,
thanks for watching and coming back. Now,
Yeah.
now that you've watched the movie, Dave, you want to set it up?
Yeah, George C. Scott is a composer, famous fella.
He's a famous composer and a professor taking a full professorship as a lecturer at the University of Washington in Seattle.
Was that established right at the beginning? Or are they
Yes.
going? That's where they're going. So anyway, his daughter, daughter and wife are just killed in this horrible accident while he's on the phone
Totally
across the street.
random accident.
Yeah, random
Hard to
accident. Truck
believe the way it was
plows into
shot,
their
but anyway.
station wagon. Huh?
The staging was kind of
Yeah,
off, but
yeah, it's Peter Madak
Oh,
directed
sure.
it, and he's a TV guy, so it was very TV movie-ish. TV movies used to be crappy, but now they're actually better than regular movies a lot of time. But the
TV series are way better
The
than
TV movies
movies.
back the day, you're slumming of your TV guy. The director is a TV guy. Did Space in 1999, some of the later Twilight Zones, and some British stuff. But he didn't do any other movies that I like as much as this one. So anyway, yeah. So he moves to he's got a little grieving period, but then he moves to Seattle eventually, and he rents this house from the Historical Society that sort of is accidentally rented to him because it wasn't really supposed to be necessarily, and he starts experiencing weird things in there.
Well, let me just interject. He needed to find a place to live, and it was recommended that he could rent a historical house. And the lady really dug him. She was totally into him, and she wanted him to have this giant mansion. That
Trish Van Devere was his wife at the time, George C. Scott's wife at the time.
Oh, it was his actual wife.
Actual
Okay.
wife, yeah.
So that's why they had such a good chemistry on screen.
Yeah.
I thought for sure they were going to jump into a closet at any moment in the
Yeah.
scene.
In today's movies, they probably would immediately, knock one out. Like that's when they'd hear something, or one of the coats in the closet would go woo, or while they're having sex or something. That's really stupid. Can we cut that out? No. But I'm glad you said that because I kind of forgot about that. But in the ghost world, I watch a lot of ghost shows. I'm kind of into it, even though I don't know what the hell it's all about. I'm not sure what I think ghosts are, if they're there or not. But when his daughter died, that's like a crossing over period. There could have been a connection between that kid and her because time is not irrelevant when you're in the spirit world. So maybe the daughter did meet this kid somehow, and he thought maybe this guy can help me, And that's why he almost orchestrated him moving to the new house.
Because it made no sense otherwise. Why Jonathan, was that the kid's name? Why he would wait so long? Joseph.
Yeah,
why he would wait so long? Because it seemed like it was quite a while before he finally found somebody to help him.
Well, see, I felt
And to have to go all the way to sort of New York.
I felt Joseph was trying to reach out to anybody who was in the house. That his reach was
probably
only
was.
But his
he
reach
could
was
only
beyond the house.
He could only reach people in the house and the area.
Yes,
Like
but
he could go down
But
to the river.
here's the deal with the movie though is like this particular person needs to have this happen to him because he was unable to help his daughter.
Right.
He never talks about his wife being killed. He always talks about his daughter. The wife doesn't seem to matter at all.
Right.
He never even mentions her. Just
Well,
the daughter got killed.
in the
Hey, dude, your
70s
wife got killed too, right in the same accident.
In the 70s, it was probably more becoming for him to be really fretting over his daughter, who was helpless.
Anybody would be fretting more over their kid than the wife. Sad to say, but both. But a kid would it rips your guts out. But so
I almost stopped watching the movie after that opening scene.
Yeah, I mean, we know characters in movies. We know from watching these movies over the decades that
how's he going to save the cat?
The adventure that but the adventure that the hero gets is the one that he needs to get over whatever his problem is. Now, Joseph, the ghost. No one else had the right fit probably for him, except when this guy comes, he's got the proper baggage that allows him to even have the interest to look further. No one else did. They're just like, what the hell? These doors are closing and the pipes are banging.
Right.
So he looked a little further because of his. It
had been 70 years since the death, so not that many people had lived in the house. The family lived there for a long time, and then it was rented and not rented and mostly vacant. So Joseph's trying to reach out. It just happens to be that this guy was in the place in his life where he was open to something else happening.
That's how I'm reading it. But what else bugged you about some of the plot? We shouldn't have eaten right before the podcast.
Okay, so just for the listeners, I want you to know, I went to get a filling at the dentist today. And now I put it off before my vacation to Italy.
What did that sound like?
I went to the dentist before Italy, before my trip, and he said, "You know what? I really don't want to do a filling before you go on your trip. So why don't you have a great trip, eat a lot of pasta, come back and see me?" So today, I'm sitting here. This
is actual audio from today.
I'm in the dentist office, and I'm pulling out my phone thinking, hey, I'm going to record this.
Spit.
He just wanted to make sure, this is my tooth, by the way, getting drilled on. He wanted to make sure that it wasn't video, that's all. He didn't want any video.
Well, he didn't want the part where you fall asleep and he fondles your junk while you're out, right?
He didn't want to hear me screaming and have it on the podcast.
No. Oh, God. I've heard that noise quite a few times in my day.
So there was a pretty cool little, the little suction hose. This one was in a little curlicue, and it kept my tongue. I'm always paranoid whenever I have to see the dentist that my tongue is going to slip over and get drilled through with the stupid drill and get pumped full of water and get giant, and I'm going to choke and die.
Yeah.
It's like a little minor paranoia of mine after I've had a couple of drinks. Thank you for the good stuff, by the way.
Even with no drinks, when I was a kid, when at the orthodontist, when they would have just the pliers against the tongue, I'm like, he's going to pinch the tongue, but he never did. I was like, don't do it.
So this new hose, I felt really good. Like, my tongue
a little safety
can't even get near it because there's this giant curly Q hose in the way. And that was that last sound you heard.
Mm-hmm. So then in regards to the changeling, it seemed like new Joseph had no idea what had happened. Right? Like, I thought he was in on it, but by the end, it seemed like he didn't know that he had replaced the kid.
I think that's true.
Well, then it seems like even worse that Joseph, the ghost, then takes out this old man who really...
No, he didn't take him out, though.
Well, let me explain.
He wasn't there.
Can I explain to the audience? Should I explain this?
Yeah.
This is a crucial plot point.
Yes, yeah.
So since all of our listeners...
It'll still scare you.
Now, Gordon, I have spoiled movies during the podcast, and the one time I had to go back and edit a show was because I totally spoiled the crap out of a current movie.
Which one?
And then I felt bad. What were we watching?
Oh, I don't remember. I'll think of it while you're talking.
You always ask me specifics, man.
All right. It seemed like monumental things.
I don't remember.
Right? It wasn't that important to me.
All right.
So in the movie The Changeling, there's a very important plot point, but there's somebody else whose name is Joseph, who doesn't know about Joseph who's dead.
But should.
And got a great life out of it.
Yeah. But we don't need to tell all the details because I really felt this was a pretty fantastic movie. This movie was head and shoulders above most of any movies that I've watched in the last couple of years. In the writing, in the way that the story was developed. So now you're talking about new Joseph. Go ahead.
The other Joseph. There's two Josephs. One is a dead Joseph, one is a live Joseph.
And soon to be dead Joseph.
Yeah.
Senator Joseph, yeah. But that's the cool part because this movie, it's got some baton passing. When you're watching the movie, you're like, who's the villain in the movie? It seems like, this presence is probably the villain. It usually is in a horror movie. You see The Conjuring? That was a villain. And then, did you see that one? No.
I like The Conjuring. You see that? You don't watch it. You'll be screaming. You're going to have to sleep.
I try to avoid those movies,
You're going to sleep, all the lights on. The wife's going to have to sit next to you, like, stand guard. because it's pretty scary. But usually it's the
I just sleep with the
presence
lights
in
on
the
in
house.
that.
Yeah. How did you sleep that night? Did you sleep? You went right to sleep, didn't you? Come on.
You know, I had a couple of extra drinks and I went right to bed.
He really was like, he was knotted up. So usually it's the villain, the spirit, whatever that's in the house. The presence is the villain. But in this one, no. We do find out later, well, he's not the villain. So, well, what's going on? So there's a little baton passing, which I think works. They kind of pass it to the senator. But ultimately, he's not a villain either, which I dig. He didn't know. He was a victim. He did not know what happened. And
it turned out to be the saintly dad.
Yeah, a person who doesn't appear only in flashback and visions that some people have. They see the murder occur, and it was some other person who's not really in the movie. Really, he's just in those two scenes where, So that's interesting, I think, and it still works for me. But and the thing is, he wasn't there. Like Joseph, I think was just. I just want everybody to know about what happened to me. That's all he was. He just wanted attention to now someone knows, And the guy who, the title of the movie, The Changeling, somebody got changed, some switching going on. Maybe it was important to him because maybe he knew that the other guy did not know. You know what I mean? But now he does know. But he wasn't there. Like what happened is he died and his spirit went there. Because he was realizing it. He had a heart attack.
That was a great scene at the end.
This is grounded in the paranormal reality because a lot of times we'll say, "Oh I saw my grandfather here," but it's like he died like minutes before that, But no, I saw him here. He was talking to me. That kind of thing. So he was sort of projecting maybe there and saw everything, and that killed. But
how many years?
The time of his death.
How many years before Ghostbusters was this?
4.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
So Ghostbusters was the height of people were paranormal. They were studying paranormal activity. There were books at the Barnes and Noble and the Crown bookstore where you could read on paranormal studies. And they were talking about having paranormal majors. And I think this movie was at the wave of that, the early wave of that.
Been going for a long time. Did you ever see The Haunting? The Haunting was a similar, the old Haunting, the Robert Wise one. Oh, it's good.
Well, Dave, we had on Facebook, we had a few follow-ups.
Oh, let's see who
on favorite movies.
Let's see if anybody picked The Haunting from the 60s.
Lori said she loved the movie The Stuff. As far as horror, we're talking about just horror movies in general for Halloween. By the way, now we're 37 minutes in. This is our special Halloween episode.
Yeah. We should have said that, but
yeah, well, good planning.
Scary.
Dave,
says, scary.
You probably shouldn't bring moonshine over before we record next time. I'm just saying.
Oh, it's fine.
I'm just saying. So, Lori said she loved the movie The Stuff. Now, did you watch any of it?
No, I forgot to look it up. I was too busy.
It looks like the marshmallow, goopy marshmallow stuff that just eats people up.
Cross between Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and the Blob, maybe.
But she says she doesn't love it as much as The Shining and Silence of the Lambs. Or the movie Seven.
Yeah, okay.
And she liked the movie Seven. It sort of came to mind that it was the most calculated, and it could be, if it were real, it would be the most diabolical of them all.
Calculated murderer.
Although I like The Shining. So before we talk about these,
The Shining too.
Michelle from Michigan says she loves the classic Halloween from 1978 with Jamie Lee Curtis. Now I think
you could do worse. That's a classic. It is.
Jamie Lee Curtis as an adult, didn't she have some good nude scenes? I mean, we got to bring it down to guy level.
Yeah.
Trading Places.
Trading Places.
That's the one I was thinking of.
That's
Man, Gordon, you're good.
Gordon probably knows the exact minutes of what minutes.
We used to have
37 minutes in.
I think Swamp Thing. We used to know when Adrienne Barbeau was bathing in the woods.
Let's tell this. This is fun because this is the old this is the old days when cable first came out. I've known Gordon since junior high, so this was junior high stuff.
79.
Yeah, we used to have those
1979.
Those remotes had the cord that would go, and they had this little golden brown box that you'd click the channels, and they had
3 rows of buttons.
3 rows of buttons. Actually, one row of buttons, but then you switched it to the next row, and then you had to But they would send out the cable guides, of course, and they would say which ones have nudity and stuff. So we'd always go, "Oh, this one's got nudity." Circle it, and this is going to have nudity. Good, I'll be watching this one. I'm 12 or 13, so I need to see nudity. But I guess
pre-internet.
Pre-internet. So we do the Swamp Thing.
Pre-internet nudity. Pen.
Swamp Thing was playing back then. What was that from '82? Swamp Thing, somewhere around there. John Carpenter. No, it was not John Carpenter. I'm thinking of that because Adrienne Barbeau, John Carpenter's wife, stars in that. So, but there's a scene where she's bathing in the swamp and she's got a huge rack But the call would go out because everyone would know it was
37 minutes.
37 minutes. They'd be like, calling, dude, Swamp Thing. Oh shit! Run to the TV, put on channel 14 or
The
whatever.
worst was
HBO
when it was on it started an off time like 8:15. You'd be like, oh wait a minute, carry the 5, 7.
Yeah, so
Oh, that's pretty good.
this is the version of I couldn't just pull up porn on my internet. I had to walk 3 miles in the snow to see my porn. We had
Right.
to watch. We had to stay up. I remember staying
That
up
was
with
all
this guy
softcore.
It was just boobies.
You know,
we didn't have two girls, one cup back then anywhere.
In my day,
Thankfully.
we used to have to watch.
Thankfully.
Used to have to buy Playboy magazine, and now you can't even get nudity on Playboy.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
So speaking of nudity, Michael Cantor also piped in on Facebook at facebook.com/The Indispensable Show that Jaws was the scariest movie for him.
I'm not going to argue with that one either.
Now, I just
Jaws
got to
is
make
fantastic.
a side note. Star Wars Rebels Season 2, Episode 1 is exactly the movie Jaws in a Star Wars form. They took the whole plot of Jaws and they put it in Star Wars Rebels, and it's genius.
Nice.
If you know the Star Wars characters, I mean, they got the big fish they're going after. They've got the crazy guy.
Who's the crazy guy in Jaws?
In
Richard Dreyfuss? Or who's the crazy guy?
yes.
Okay, I guess
Yeah,
he's crazy. It's crazy-ish.
So you need to watch Star Wars Rebels with me, and you can decide whether that they did a good job or not on
Jaws. That was a
on
good one
their
to bring up.
Jaws.
Jaws, and the one I brought up earlier, The Haunting, and then I think The Changeling, all fit this description of not showing too much. Mm-hmm. You see the shark a lot at the end, but there's a reason that Jaws doesn't show the shark very much in the movie. They plan on showing the shark a lot, but it was broken all the time. So when they were shooting, so they had to do stuff like, what if we just remember when the guys have the turkey out there? They're trying to. We're talking about Jaws now, not the Changeling folks. They throw the turkey out into the water. They're trying to, because there's a bounty on the fish. They want to get the money. And remember, the dock gets pulled off into the water, and you don't see. And he's pulling the dock out, and then the dock stops and it turns, and the guys are still in the water. That's so effing scary. You're like, oh my god! But it was so much better than seeing the shark coming. They couldn't use any. They're like, it's not working. So, but that was it's so much more effective because water is really scary, especially at night. That was a night scene. And same thing, Changeling. You never see a ghost in the movie, right?
No,
I don't
you
think
did.
there's no
You did
ghost.
in the bathtub.
Yeah,
That was messed up.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that was the only time. But again,
I
it could have
still
been a
see
vision.
that.
It could have been a vision, though. But
When I close my eyes, I can see that kid in the bathtub.
that was a cool looking, thing. But mostly sound. The Haunting uses sound exclusively, and there's no ghosts in there. But that's scary as hell too. It's a really good. A lot of scraping on walls and banging. It's like they're in a mansion and you hear it pow, pow, far down, pow, but it's coming closer, pow, pow, and then their door goes smack, and then it goes down. It's really scary. It's good stuff.
Well, you find out what the banging is, and then it's so when you find out what the banging is, when it's like the bong, 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 like that's messed
there's
up.
banging in this movie, and then you find out what it is. It's kind of cool. I liked it.
Like
You like those little moments?
Yeah.
yeah. So those worked for you.
So it wasn't a waste of time.
Did
I
we
did not think it was
convince
a
you
waste
at
of
all?
time.
Anything on the older Joseph character? Does that make sense? Do you maybe like it a little more if it was, because it seems like to me it's all tied up really neatly. Like everything works. But I've seen it 3 or 4 times too. So
No.
No.
Because he, I understand him wanting to get his story out or whatever, and needing that to maybe cross over and finally leave this plane. But it just seems like he instigated the death of that old man, and really, since he had.
Nah, I disagree. No, George C. Scott did because he wanted him. Look, he just
Well, who
wanted
got
him
him
to
going?
know.
He was the
just-
catalyst.
He just wanted him to know about it. It was up to him to die because he freaked out, which was actually a thing that's. Imagine a senator having some sort of conscience about something like that, because he found out that he was part of a horrible thing, and it shook him so badly. And plus, he did actually. Wasn't there some paranormal stuff going on in his office there too?
with the necklace.
So
It's interesting.
Hey, he's a kid. He lashed out maybe at the wrong person.
It's
But
interesting to me. You thought that it was George C. Scott's character that wanted the senator dead, and Gordon, you thought that the ghost reached out to kill the senator. But what I saw, now this cracks me up. I saw the senator realizing that all those memories that he had suppressed because his father was such a great man, and he couldn't believe those things that he thought about him and he put them aside, that they were actually real. And he realized that he had been lying to himself his whole life. And the guilt suddenly weighing on him,
washed over him,
of
and
lying
he was
to
overcome.
himself, he was overcome, and he died of his own guilt. That's what I saw.
Yeah,
we saw 3 different things.
No, I'm with you.
What does he feel guilty about? He had no idea. He gets adopted.
He was defending his father, though. Like, my father was a great man, and then he realized no, he wasn't. He murdered.
But that's the thing.
He murdered.
He
and
had
replaced me.
Suicide.
That's the thing. He had some idea.
he did?
He had the same necklace. He knew things were going on with his father. His father must have said things that left him to question. And that's why he was suddenly washed over with the guilt of, you know what? This makes sense. This other stuff that I was fighting so vehemently for kind of made sense, but this really makes sense. And that's why I think he was so overwhelmed with guilt that he died of a heart attack at the age of 70.
Yeah, or whatever. He looks older, but old people back then looked older than old people look now. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's just because I'm older and
you're closer to it.
I'm getting closer to it. But Melvin Douglas looks very frail. We have to look him up. Let's IMDb him.
He wasn't around too much later because wasn't Being There his last movie?
I think you're right, actually. Yeah,
and that was I think the next year.
Melvin Douglas was born in
81, 82?
Wow, he was born in 01, so he's about 80-ish up there. And they shot it probably 78, 79. Okay. Yeah, he's a pretty old fella.
So Gordon, what if you
had to still trying to convince Gordon that this movie's better than he thinks it is?
No, it's all right. He doesn't have to give it a good review. We're not rating it. If you were to think if you were to think back to horror movies, and if you could think of 2 or 3 movies off the top of your head that just sort of stood out, scary or silly, Halloween or horror or just scary as heck movies, what jump out?
The most scared I was ever. The movie I was most scared by was Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, and I saw it down in Balboa, and it was a matinee, like a Saturday afternoon, a bright day, and I just remember walking back to my car, constantly looking over my shoulder, completely freaked out, because of how easy it was these guys killed, and they didn't show any murders. Like, they would play the audio of the murder, and then you would just see the aftermath of the scene, and just that this one guy was a killer. I think it was I don't know if it was Michael Rooker. I can't remember who the star was, and this other guy just sort of met him.
Rooker was the star of that one.
And then fell into that life, and like, yeah, I can kind of do that. And it just seemed like, yeah, it might. I'm sure there are people that killing is easy, and it just seems kind of like it just was freaky.
So that's like grounded in reality, though. That actually could happen. There actually could have been a serial killer there. What about some supernatural ones, like you ever walk down the hall and you're just like feeling freaked out because you just watched something spooky? That happens to me all the time.
No, but I usually don't. I'm not a big horror fan. I mean, I like more the spookier stuff than the gory stuff. And I think I
like Scooby-Doo. They're always fighting ghosts.
Yeah,
spooky. What's a spooky one rather than a horror scary one? If you happen to have one, I don't know. I'm not trying to catch you.
That's all right. We can come back around. Let's go around. Let's go to Dave.
But, I mean, I saw all those sort of Universal movies that they would show like on Saturday afternoons. I remember watching all those.
I watched 2 other older ones from the 70s. One was called "Let's Scare Jessica to Death." That was pretty good. It was
it's a good title.
Very 70s. Yeah, kind of an unsatisfying ending a little bit, but it was definitely weird and spooky. Yeah, there was a lot of. Is that girl a ghost? Why is she in that old picture? She looks like, and weird voices and sounds, and these people are acting very strange in this town. That kind of. But it was pretty good. The other one was The Asylum, which was kind of like it had 4 different stories sort of woven together, kind of like a Twilight Zone, and it was pretty good. Herbert Lom was in that one. It's British, kind of had a Hammer feel almost to it, but I think it was a little after those Hammer movies.
Okay.
But those were good. I can recommend those. Actually, you can stream those on YouTube as well.
Nice. So as a kid, I used to watch scary movies. Like Michelle from Michigan mentioned Halloween. I used to love watching those. Those cracked me up. The Exorcist was a little scary, but it didn't mess me up in the head. The Shining really stuck at me, even as a young person. What a great movie it was. Mm-hmm. Like, it was freaky, but it seems like The Shining as a movie can really stand out among other movies even. just because of I mean, Jack Nicholson is fantastic in that. The whole Red Rum, Murder in the Mirror. As a kid, man, I ate that stuff up.
And how it's really about how the moon landing was fake.
But then,
you know about that one?
That's a cool documentary.
It's a pretty cool documentary.
But then in the 5th grade, I went to have a sleepover at my friend's house. His name was Jason Brown. And he had a cousin from, she was from the West Coast, like an adult cousin. So I'm 5th grade. 5th grade must be 10 or 11. And he has a cousin who's from the East Coast with an accent. And I have the biggest crush on this cousin. And the cousin says, "Oh, Freddy Krueger's on TV. Let's watch Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 2. So we go in the living room, and I'm staying at my friend Jason Brown's house from the 5th grade for the first time. Now I'm feeling good about myself because I helped Jason Brown fight off some bullies one time. He was a little smaller for his age, and some guys were picking on him. And while I was standing next to Jason Brown, I kneed this other guy in the balls. And the guy thought it was him, so they didn't mess with me, and they didn't mess with him. So that was a win-win. So I'm having a sleepover at this guy's house, and he lives sort of in an older house with hardwood floors. And we watched Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 2 in the same night. Now, I'm in a foreign house with people I don't know that makes a lot of creaky noises that is pitch black. And I'm freaking scared to death. Now, before this Nightmare on Elm Street, I would go to the drive-in theater and watch I just forgot the name of the movie. With the hockey mask Jason.
Friday the 13th?
Friday the 13th, thank you. There must have been 6 of them by the time at this point, that I had gone to the drive-in movie theater to go and see Friday the 13th with. Friday the 13th was a big deal. I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, and I don't have a regular night of sleep for a long time. These Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger like coming out of the cushion and wearing his striped sweatshirt and scraping his nails across the wall messes me up so bad. I have trouble watching scary movies today.
That's a good psychological one, too, because it's the kids. I was 17 when I saw it, so it's kind of in that area.
It's 32 years, man.
Yeah. The
Westminster and Brookhurst?
Yeah. Did you see it with me? We saw Edwards Westbrook. Yeah, we saw. Yeah. That's the theater's called the Westbrook. I remember, it was Tom there too. I remember walking out of there.
I think Dave Bowden was there.
He was. It was it was quite a scary one, but it's good. It was the psychological aspect of that one's cool because in the movie you've got children being punished for something their parents did. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. So you feel it's like an extra injustice, and you're just like, see, it's your fault.
Kind of like the Changeling.
Yeah.
It might have been that we watched both movies at the same time. Maybe if I had watched one, I would have been able to handle it as a 9 or 10-year-old. But
seems a little young.
Both movies in a foreign house in a noise. That was the first night in my life I remember not sleeping the whole night. This has only happened to me.
And then his dad molested you. That was extra tough in the wee hours in the morning, right?
Well, I was really hoping for the cute cousin with the good accent. I mean, it was like, I don't remember having a crush on a girl before this one. That's why it stuck out so strongly. It was like, well, maybe there was this time in camp, but it was like the cousin with the Massachusetts accent and the scary movie. These two pivotal moments for me as a 5th grader coalesced into one.
So,
Sex and death.
So I'm glad we have Gordon on because it's Halloween, it's scary movies, but he's like seems like impervious to being scared, which is cool.
No, I'm not impervious to being scared.
Well, Henry was that's a more like practical scared, like holy shit, there could be a serial killer right by my car.
Yeah, but that's when you were a kid. The audience doesn't know. The audience doesn't know.
I was 42 when Henry
Gordon is like the coolest, smoothest guy you're ever going to see walking around. You can't phase this guy.
Yeah, but so 86. Yeah, okay.
So 19.
Yeah. So, but no moments when, because I have lots of moments like watching Night Gallery and Twilight Zone as a kid. Did those just tear your bowels up into a knot when you were a kid? Like stomach just like, oh. He really
I
does
didn't really
have.
watch
He's like,
Night
can't
Killer.
remember.
I watched the Twilight Zone, but I didn't have that reaction.
No,
to
like
it.
remember Night Call? The old lady keeps getting the phone call and hello, and then he says, "No, the phone line's down. It's not. There's no."
That's one where it's death, right?
No one could be calling. No, it's she keeps getting called. It's called Night Call. She keeps getting phone calls throughout the night, and she hears like hello.
Oh, that stuff would mess me
She's
up.
getting freaked out. Keeps hanging up. She calls the police. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they finally go and try to find out where the call was coming from. They say, "Oh, the lines are down," but they were going into the cemetery, and it was her husband's grave.
So
they were going into the ground right there. It was really cool. But I
So
remember
Dave,
going,
tell me a couple of your top scary horror movies.
Exorcist is the top for me.
Exorcist, that's a great movie.
Saw that when I was young too. It's key. You got to see it when you're slightly too young to be ready for it.
The head
and it will
spinning
scar you.
around,
But
the
mostly
priest.
it's the.
I think I saw it on TV and it was cut up and it was still scary when I was a kid.
Yeah. Okay. There you
the
go.
psychic.
Yeah. It's the sound is the most important part in all of these. All these, like the Haunting, Changeling too. The sound I think is the best. Remember the Joseph? It's a little scarier when you're in the theater, not so much on YouTube. But
I think in my house it was pretty scary.
yeah, but
I had it cranked way up, Gordon.
Scratching
There's no
on
shame.
things and not. I don't mean boom, hi. I made you jump. That doesn't really scare me that much. I might jump. I'm kind of impervious to jumping now. I don't know why.
You don't get startled.
Hardly. No. It's I kind of like, especially when I go see one of those movies. I'm conditioned to go. I'm not going to jump, because there's going to be a lot of them. But the sound was Exorcist was talking about. Great sound, and you never see a ghost in there either. You don't see anything, and all you see is the effects of the demon on the girl.
Right.
You don't see. You see.
There's one scene.
In the newer one or the you mean like with which one, the flashing light thing?
No, isn't there some sort of like goat-like demon over her?
I think it was a statue though.
Yeah.
It was a statue from Iraq or something.
That was actually the cinematography was superimposing the scene so that you would think what you saw. When they when you show someone over to the left and the right, it looks like the devil.
But even if that is, I think that's the only moment you'd see something, and it's not like the Haunting had a remake with Liam Neeson, and I sadly went to see that just for curiosity. But like right in the beginning, they're having like the bedpost is like moving. It's like, no, come on, like faces are coming out of the wall. This was like in the first 10 minutes. You're like, no, make me like somebody first. Like the Changeling uses pathos, it's like, oh my god, this poor bastard, his wife and kid just got killed,
And you see that other people like him as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, they reinforce that because so many people just showed up at his class.
Yeah, right.
It's like I've only got like 30 people, but
or they're fans of his music, but his friends they really want to help him out. I'm so sorry.
Right.
So like, okay, I like this guy.
Yeah, in the Changeling, we're 4 minutes in, and we're already on this guy's side. Like, he may look like a funny looking dude to have a young kid, but man, I wouldn't want that to happen to me or anybody that I liked.
A lot of the movies do that. They forget to. I wrote like a pretty cool scary movie, and I forgot to make people like the heroes. Like, oh crap, nobody likes this guy.
How much money did you make on that?
Nothing yet. Still sitting in a drawer. But yeah, we moved on and write something else. But someday I'll fix it.
All right.
But
so producers out
Changeling
there,
and Exorcist too, they spend a lot of time making you like this little girl. Oh my God, Reagan McNeil, she's so cute. And then this slowly weird things start happening, and then did you see it with me at the block, or did I see it with Ron? I think I saw it with Ron. With the re-release.
No, I saw a re-release when Warner Brothers had a big anniversary weekend, and they showed a whole bunch of movies, and so it was a packed house in Newport, and it did not stand up because the audience was laughing at it throughout. It totally ruined it.
That happened to me at the block in Orange, but up until because I think it was a bunch of Latinas in there. They're all cracking up and laughing in inappropriate spots until the crucifix moment where she's like, "Let Jesus fuck you," she's like, and the pin drop the rest of the movie. They're like, "Oh shit!"
Wow,
that was cool. I don't know about Newport though, but it was a bunch of young rich kids over there in Newport. But this was like the Latinas. I know because I saw them coming in. I'm like, they're not gonna like this movie. And then, sure enough, right after that moment, it was like, oh shit, this movie's serious.
All right,
so
Gordon,
that was cool.
I gotta ask you, in your running cinemacentries.com, I'm gonna assume that you have some opinion on good film.
Okay.
What makes a good horror movie?
I would think being able to identify with like the leads or the main characters, and this, so that way you have some sort of sympathy or empathy with what the situation is. Like if you don't care, then you're sort of detached.
Okay.
I would agree with that. There's no tension if you don't care about the person. It's pretty much the same for all movies, especially horror. Yeah.
Do you have young kids?
No, not that I know of.
So
Do you have old kids?
No, not that I know of.
Just as a thought exercise, as somebody with young kids, I really related to the Changeling. I wonder if maybe you didn't relate to the movie as much because you don't have young kids.
It's possible. I mean, I liked George C. Scott. Like, I don't know if I would have liked it as much if there hadn't been an actor of his caliber in that role. Mm-hmm. I was thinking that the whole time.
I'm not even criticizing you. I'm just, since you mentioned that as like a good point.
No, it's definitely like different
empathy,
experiences. Definitely skew your results.
I haven't watched AI since I've had children, and I bet now if I watched it, it would be even. Because I was bawling my head off watching. Do you like AI?
It's parts of it.
I like AI a lot, but yeah, I remember just bawling my head off in certain spots. But now I think it would be even worse now after having chillins.
All right, Dave. After you take a drink of your whiskey, tell me what makes a good horror movie.
Well, I would agree with Gordon.
Glad I went first.
Yeah, you got. Yeah, he said the golden rule is we need to like the protagonist. We got to be worried for this person because none of the suspense you're building is going to matter if nobody cares who this person is, or that's it. And you got to draw out those little moments, like the way the door opens in The Changeling. It's so slow. That's good,
right?
Because it's like, is something going to come out? And you have a long time to ponder it.
Right.
Is something going to be there? Is someone going to walk in? And it's just so slow. It's not creaking. It's just opening. Those moments like that. But we're worried that something's going to happen to him. We like this guy. That's why it works.
Right now.
And don't show too much. As soon as you start seeing the thing running around chasing people, you're like, oh, okay. I now see the monster. I'm not scared, or ghost, or whatever. If you just see the whole ghost wandering around the house, like, oh, okay.
Because you're always going to imagine it worse than they can come up with.
Yes.
Right now,
you will imagine it. Where let people's brain do the work for you. You don't have to show it.
It's like an alien.
Yeah.
Now for me,
see the alien fully till the very end. Yeah.
As an audio guy, not a film guy, the movies and books, the horror things that scare me the most are the ones that I can more clearly see happening in reality. So
that are more believable.
So, for example, there's a Dean R. Koontz book, and I read this book on recommendation. And in the book, they show how how the little girl is abducted. The kidnappers break in. The cockroach is crawling on her face. She opens up the door, and some kid, his lips are buttoned together. Like, these moments haunt me because this crazy person could really happen. I wonder if The Shining, which Lori really liked, I also really liked that movie. I wonder if that movie resonated with me because of the Hotel California aspect of that. Like, a person losing their mind can do, as we're seeing in Israel and Palestine right now, crazy people doing horrendous acts. Like, those things can happen.
They're just stabbing people who stole their land.
Right. So when there are crazy stabby people doing horrible things, that is more scary to me than the supernatural, the mythology, or especially if I can see the ghost. Like, Ghostbusters is not a scary movie. That is a fun movie. Zoo. Like, that is a fun movie.
Yeah.
I even let my kids watch it.
Yeah, there's like some little spooky moments, but not.
With cigarette smoking and bad words galore, I let them watch it 3 times.
Well, walking around in the dark in my house is not haunted or anything, but if I was at Armin's house, which kind of does have some weird things going on there, I would be way more scared that I'm going to hear footsteps behind me. I'm more scared it's probably a ghost than it's a Palestinian going to stab me, because I don't think there's any Palestinians anywhere near the place that's going to stab me, but it could be this weird ghost thing that I don't know what it is, because my imagination, as you said, is working. So... But yeah, otherwise, if I'm in Israel, I'll probably be more scared of Palestinians stabbing me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, good horror movies. And, we are at an hour and 4 minutes. What do you say we wrap it up, guys?
All right.
Okay.
All right. So, Gordon, once again, could you tell people where to find you in the world?
Online, I'm at cinemacentries.com. In the world, who knows? At this point, when they're listening to it.
Cinema, SENTRIES.com. Centuries like guards.
We're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, and Facebook and Twitter at Cinema Centuries.
There's a review of The Intern movie.
Would that be at Cinema Centuries on Twitter?
Correct.
Great. And I'd like to thank the rest of the listeners for subscribing to the show. You can find the indispensable Thursday show on iTunes and everywhere that fine podcasts are served. Dave.
Are you going to ask me for the phone number? Don't.
It's got a 602 in it. It's got a 602 in it.
We want.
I don't even know the area code.
We want to hear your voice. Call our hotline at
657-206-0777
and leave us a message. Jesse, what's that number again?
657-206-0777.
We appreciate your iTunes Store reviews. If you would like to let us know what you thought about Gordon Miller and cinemacentries.com.
Especially what you thought about Gordon.
Be kind.
I'm just taking notes on what you thought about Gordon.
Just let us know. We invite you to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Indispensable Thursday Show, or on Twitter, send us a message at Sable and Dave.
And you can read an interview with Dave on cinemacentries.com.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, about my book, Whiskey Tango, a whole other kind of spy novel.
Whiskey Tango, a whole nother kind of spy novel. So let me just tell you, you go to theindispensable.show.com/Amazon.
Yeah.
You search for...
If you bought my book on there, I would get to double dip. That would be cool.
You search for Whiskey Tango, a whole nother kind of spy novel.
People are salivating to help my wallet there.
And you can help us get a mic for Gordon. Gordon, it was really great to have you on here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming, Gordon.
Thanks for coming over and enjoying some of the hat pastrami sandwich with us and bringing some fine Templeton rye.
The good stuff.
I'll turn on the AC.
We'll turn the AC back on.
I'm sweating already.
Dave, you could sweat.
Mm-hmm. I run hot
when it's snowing. You'd be sweating when it's snowing.
I have on when I go skiing. That's all I do.
All right. Thanks, Dave, and goodbye, Dave.
Bye-bye, guys.
Goodbye, Gordon.
Goodbye.